Well, hello, welcome. It is Wednesday, so you know what that means. My name is Doug Robbins. I am an entrepreneur, an event specialist, a wedding celebrant, and an all around curious guy. That's why I started a channel called Engagement, where we're going to talk to people that, I want to know about, or topics I want to hear about, or, things that just basically tickle my fancy. So, welcome to Engagement. So, engagement. I know people think, well, you're a wedding officiant, a celebrant. This must have something to do with putting a ring on a finger. Actually, I don't like that song at all. But nonetheless, I digress. Engagement really in the dictionary means to meet or to come together, and that's what we do here on Wednesday nights with engagement. We get together and we talk to people. We have talked to wedding professionals, which was always fun. And right now we are knee deep, maybe neck deep into what we call phenomenal females. Now I realize there are a lot of phenomenal people, but I like to really sort of sector this out because I myself had a lot of phenomenal females in my life that molded me. These two, that's my Nana Myrtle in the yellow with the pearls, always dressed up, and my mom in the pink. They molded me and made me who I am and taught me how to cook and taught me how to behave. And I don't think I got their sense of humor, but I got a lot of other things from them until they passed the torch off to my wife, Andrea, who has to probably the harder part of, rearing me, um, molding me by making me pick up my socks and dirty underwear. Uh, Even occasionally, I take the garbage out, and once in a while, on a blue moon, I pick up the dog poop outside because it's good for the earth. So I've reached out to some other phenomenal females that I think are people that maybe I know if I'd like to talk to them, maybe you'd like to talk to them. And last week we talked to some teachers that are navigating the teaching from home. And so I wanted to see the flip side of that, of the moms that are at home with the students that are dealing with, forcing them to get in front of the screen or um, teaching them how to get online. And so I found two phenomenal moms, I think, that are here for the show and here for a little talk and here for maybe a giggle or two. And we have Whitney McGregor and we have Elizabeth Downey. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the ladies. How are we?
Hello.
Oh,
Hello. Oh, that was almost in harmony. Wow. Kind of
We
reminded me of
rehearsed it.
Charlie's Angels. Yeah, good. Wow, well done. So, how's it going?
going pretty good.
Pretty good.
As good as can be expected, I suppose.
Yeah, we were Whitney was worried about screaming kids in the background. I said that would be perfectly appropriate because
Yeah.
you are, taking you have kids at home and it's real life. I know for myself, working from home, it's not uncommon to hear a doorbell during a conference call or a dog barking or last week it was the tea kettle whistling. So I mean, this we're living real life, people. This is what we do. This is where we're at. So
Exactly. You can see my sweet renovation that has started but hasn't quite gone where it's supposed to be. So we're just rolling with it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you it's a work in progress, and life is a work in progress. So that's fair. That's fair. So I've got a few questions. So we don't want to keep you guys too long, but settle in for some giggles and some questions. So we'll start with Whitney. Tell me a little bit about yourself, there, Whitney.
Okay, so I am originally from Toronto. I was born and raised there, and I met my husband at the University of Guelph, and we I had never heard of Chatham Kent. So anyways, when I finished university and finished college, we decided to move to Chatham. So we settled here, and in 2013, we adopted our twin boys from Guyana, South America. So they were 7 years old when they came to Canada, and they settled on my husband's family farm, and we lived there for a while. And then since then, we've welcomed two little girls into our family. So I have a 5-year-old Violet, who started JK this September, and a 1-year-old who started daycare in February. And my boys actually started high school this year as well. So I really have had every first for everyone in my family, starting high school, starting daycare, and starting JK. So it's been a heck of a year. Lots of firsts, lots of changes, lots of ups and downs, lots of tears, sometimes mine.
Well, here's a picture of your incredible, cute crowd of family. They're adorable.
Go Leafs, go!
Apparently, you guys like the Leafs, but
just a little bit.
That's a whole nother show. Yeah. So tears. So there was I almost brought it up, but I didn't want to embarrass anyone. But I have a friend who posted a picture, and basically she was sort of hunched over, and she had a glass of wine like this here, and the caption on Facebook said, hardest day ever. I wish I was just at work. And she was talking about homeschooling, and I vividly remember thinking, oh, it can't be that bad, really? And then, my grandkids, who spend a little bit of time with us, came home with their computers, and we started to try to learn from home. And it can be very exhausting. It can be, it's not what I do, and a lot of us are not trained professionals to teach. So it's certainly tears can happen. So.
Yes.
Elizabeth. Yeah. Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, listen, I am a trained professional, and I've been crying. So, let's be honest. This is not the rodeo anybody got tickets to, We're all just looking around going, oh my gosh, why are there so many clowns? So I've got two kids. I've got a 13-year-old and I've got an 11-year-old. But then I also opened a school in September. So it's an elementary program that goes K to 8. So I've and it's an outdoor school by definition. And Montessori as well. And so it's hands-on, student-led, outside. And the thing that between my own actual children and the children that I've been teaching, this is it's been a journey. Kind of feels like some days I feel like Frodo. I'm just walking along and I'm like, what fresh hell is going to happen today? And other times I'm in the Shire, everything's okay. I'm out picking up the dog poo, I can handle my life again. But literally I'm a trained professional and I've been crying. So if you're watching at home and going, oh, okay, yes, just climb on board. There's lots of room in the boat.
Climb on board. I love it. Can I show a picture of your family? I actually did I did keep your page a little bit. So I love this photo.
Oh, good. I'm a prolific poster, so.
You are? Well, hey, as am I. Or prolific poster. Some people say I overshare. I'm fine with that. Whatever. I've been called worse. Right? So I love this photo, and I know when this was taken. This was taken during the first COVID 1.0, as I call it. It was one of the portraits that I think happened. Is that correct?
It sure
I
is,
love that shot. Yeah. So there's the crew, and so now we at least know who you're teaching, and I wanted you on the call because you are a teacher. You do teach, and you are. So you're. I mean, who better to say how that it's important to be able to adapt to this, and how difficult it actually is when you are a teacher. So it's quite unique to have that perspective. Are you still teaching as well, with your school? Are you trying to do both?
Yes and no. The school has some online component that we're doing right now. I took the January lockdown if you can do things like this. And so my business partner is doing the one right now. So technically right now I'm not doing any online learning as the teacher. So I really am just focusing on my son, who has online classes. And my daughter has kind of moved into an unschooling thing because that's kind of who she is, and it works well for her. She's self-motivated, and bless her heart, she does the work.
Yeah.
And I don't, mind you, and with my son, it's like I was gonna say twins, but I don't want to. Wendy, I don't want to be like, she'd be like, well, no, it's not, because I actually have twins and it's really hard. But it's like twins for someone who doesn't have twins, because he's a mover and a shaker, right? And so getting him logged in, and like, I don't know what's happening on the computers ever. Like I can kind of go through and troubleshoot if something's doing something it shouldn't be doing. But getting him logged in and stuff, I'm just like, oh, honey, you need to know how to do this. This is not.
Yeah.
I will bring you a snack.
Yeah. So I find it unique because now all of the JKers, like Violet has an account, as my granddaughter does. They have an email account now. They have a Gmail account. And I'm like, I didn't think you were ready for that. I don't think we were there yet. But now you have a Gmail account. And I'm thinking, do I send in those cat jokes to that email account?
Yes, you do.
Oh, do it? Okay, good.
100%. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's Violet has a Chromebook from the school, so she's in full French, and it's all in French.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. So I really rely on her to know what she's doing. And sometimes I have to say, what does this say before I click on it? Can you tell me? And so she's pretty good with. It's amazing how quickly they pick it up.
Yeah, as is my granddaughter. She's in Violet's class. Actually, that's how come I knew the connection. The very first day when they brought it home and it was in French, all of us trying to do was sign them in, and it's Blake at, and you normally do shift ampersand.
Yes.
No.
Not with a French keyboard.
No. I'm a poor black kid from Dresden. I didn't know. I mean, to be English, right? And barely. So I had no idea, and I'm almost in tears at 9:00, and I'm thinking, how do I get to the coffee machine and the Baileys to make this all better?
Exactly.
Because Bailey's makes everything better. So, but yeah, it's hard. It's a lot harder than you think, and then it's all in French, so you're having to navigate. So I'm doing the Google, like you take a snapshot. Yes. Thank God for that, because I don't know what I'm clicking on, so I can assume, but you should never do that.
Yeah.
So
I have some no.
So how are you guys managing with home learning? So we're going to start with Elizabeth.
How are you managing with home learning? Basically, my son has his days kind of set up with an hour at like 9, an hour at 11, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays he also has like an hour at 1:30. So what's nice about it is he gets his assignment and has the teaching time, and then theoretically that hour between gives him either time to get whatever it is finished, or as I do with most of his days, I say, okay, now go run, go bike, go rollerblade, go do a thing outside. And what's really nice about the schedule that they have set up with him at his school is that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, there's nothing in the afternoon. And so if he needs to take a break, if we need to go for a bike ride or go for a drive and then a walk somewhere or whatever, we have that ability, which is really nice, because we're big on being outside. We're big on like letting nature kind of do a lot of our teaching and our really kind of lead the way. So what's really nice about that is that, he's reading Hatchet by Gary Paulson, for example, in his class right now. And I never read it, which is kind of funny. because it's all about being stranded in the Canadian North and whatever. And so we're reading it together, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's go see how to start a fire outside. Like, what would you do if you didn't have anything but a hatchet, right? Like, how successful would this be? And so it's been kind of cool because we've had a little bit of flexibility in the way his time is managed with school. So it's nice. And then, of course, my daughter's just like, oh, well, this is blah, blah, blah. And she's written her manual on how to start a fire outside, because that's who she is too. And meanwhile, her brother and I are just like, wow, that was a lot. Okay, let's see if we can hit stuff and make it happen.
Well, one of your favorite quotes, I happen to know, and I didn't make a slide for it, I apologize, is learning is all around us. You just need to slow down and let nature take the lead. And I think that's very true, right? Especially, go outside and learn how to make a fire. I mean, that's powerful. It's no different than the phrase where they, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a life. So I know I'm also a big fan of that too. I've skipped the kids out of class one day, or one session, to teach them how to make a cake. I do a lot of baking, and that's measurements, that's volumes, that's mass, right? And the simple art of how much is a cup and how much is a quarter cup is really important, because that's how you learn. So it's learning in different ways, but it's all relevant, and we all say that we're a student of life, and that's very true. And we've learned life through doing. So it's making a cake or learning to count money back is part of learning.
Yeah, nature doesn't necessarily have to be with animals and bugs outside. I mean, it's our natural world. But you're right. Like, I mean, learning to make a cake, learning how to do laundry, learning to be able to track something outside. It's all a skill that will allow you to be a critical thinker. And that's a big thing about education today, right? We can make robots that can punch the button and do the thing. We can't make robots yet that can critically think and go through from, okay, this is my question. Here are possible outcomes. Why am I going to choose the one I choose? And so I always kind of think that when we give our kids the chance to physically learn about a topic and really physically see it, then from there they can abstract and extrapolate ideas and ways of thinking into more abstract ideas, like, well, why should we send garbage into the sun? I don't know. I just made that up. But you know what I mean? And it is like, so baking a cake, I think, is a fabulous tool. And we've been doing a lot of that at home too. Because there's more than one way to learn a skill.
Oh, absolutely. It's practical learning. So Whitney, how are you managing with learning and or teaching from home?
I was kind of reflecting on this, and it's been a bit of a crazy year, because I think with the first lockdown, I was still on maternity leave. So in some ways, I thought it would be easier, but I really struggled with that, just having everyone home. I had a 3-month-old baby and trying to help the boys in grade 8. I'm not such a math person or some other things, so it was kind of tough to help them with that. And then we went into the other lockdown in January, and I was supposed to go back to work. So I ended up extending my maternity leave to be at home and to help Violet with her JK schooling. So that was equally hard, because I had wanted to go back to work and I was ready to go back to work. So it's been a struggle, just in terms of having to kind of manage it all. And especially with the little one being in JK, there's a lot of transitions and getting her on a Google Meet and then off a Google Meet, and making sure she's not mixing potions on her on the Google Meet and, making sure she's not saying anything too revealing about the
Yes.
family.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a struggle in that way. And like you said, I mean, this is not necessarily, especially for a JK, it's not a natural setting for them to be in, right? They need to be out with people and with kids and playing. And the hardest part, I think, is because I'm back at work now for this lockdown, I can't do those things. So she's in front of a computer, and then I'm throwing chocolates at her, and I'm anything I can to make her, not be too distracting. But really, all it is doing the best I possibly can. And some days I reflect on the day and I was like, that was a really shitty day. And then other days I'm like, yes, I am the best mom ever. Like I am, planting things and doing cool activities. And other times I'm like, well, that was a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I spent the whole time yelling. So.
I always tell the grandkids when they're here for school that that Papa is the principal and the lunch lady. So today's lunch deal is
Exactly.
So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's bizarre. Our parents never had to deal with this. The amount of screen time that the kids are now in front of is huge. If they were watching cartoons or playing video games, there'd be an uproar of how much obesity in front of computers and playing games. But they're in front of a tablet now for that, plus their extracurricular, whether they're watching TV or playing games. So it's getting crazy. It's really getting crazy. So
yeah, and I think I was just thinking about you, Elizabeth, making a fire. I was like, my boys would love to be doing that. So
you guys should do a swap.
I know you're winning some mad mom points there. Like if they hear that you're building a fire and I'm, making them do chores.
Listen. It's all the same, right? Like some days we're building a fire, some days mom's in bed all day because she can't handle life right now. So
it's true. Yeah.
Right? Like, you just go, I'm doing the best I can today.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we are. And I hope you're doing your best, and I'm really glad that today.
Yeah.
And that's as far as you can get. You don't have any other words.
Nope.
So
exactly.
Yeah, right? Like you just do my son, you're worried about Violet, like with her thing. And my son will turn, I shouldn't say this out loud, but he'll turn his volume way down and turn off his video and then be texting or playing or whatever. And I'm like, dude, like what are you doing? And he's like, it's okay, I already know how to do this, whatever it is, right? And I'm like, oh. And then I think, man, that's so smart. I wish I could do that in meetings, right? Where you're just like, oh, I know this part. I'll tune in back in 0.3.
Turn it down.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just put a thing up in front of your face. You're like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
You can't see me.
Yep.
Honestly.
Well, yeah. That was Violet the other day. Her teacher was doing an experiment with she had cups of water and food coloring, and at some point Violet thought that meant she was supposed to do that activity. So she had 8 cups filled with water right over top of her borrowed computer from her school, and she runs out of the room and she says, I need food coloring. I'm thinking, what is going on? I walked in the room, there was water everywhere on the floor, and I just said, you know what, this is not the day. And of course, saying that to a JK that she can't do an experiment right now, she starts, ooh. But it's chaos sometimes, but
it's managing the chaos is what it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So What's your grades been? I know, Whitney, your oldest are in grade 8.
They're in grade 9, so
Right.
they're both at John McGregor,
Mhm.
and Violet's in JK, and then the littlest one's in daycare.
Wow, that's quite the span. And Elizabeth, what about yours? What grades?
Oh, so Zadie is in grade 8 and Milo is in grade 5. I should know
So
that better.
how does grade? I remember grade 9 vividly as a teenager, going to grade 9 and your first homeroom and your locker and cruising by the smoking area and whatever else you do, right? As a kid, that's all like kind of gone for the virtual life, unless you're
Unless there's a smoking area at the house.
Unless they're hanging out with the neighbors again.
yeah,
Yeah.
just go
True.
2 hours down, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Come back when you hear the bell.
Yeah. They have been going on a lot of walks, so hopefully. Now I'm sure
It's
they're
okay.
fine.
They're just starting fires, Mom. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
starting
They're over
fires.
at Elizabeth's. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
And listen, I'm managing. Speaking of doing my best, my daughter, I just had to like sign language her that I need to charge my phone. So she's here and we're doing this right now too, which is completely derailing the whole thing. But Zadie's had to do paperwork to go into grade 9, right? And so I'm like, oh, right, yes, things you have to choose courses, which your boys must have just finished doing as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just been, and she's like, Mom, I need a grade 8 grad dress, and I'm like, you what? And the who? Okay, are we having a thing? I don't know. Like, oh,
Yeah.
where'd that go? But anyway, so I just ordered her a grad dress because
I know,
don't
and that
maybe we'll have
Yeah.
a thing.
You never know, right? You gotta have a grad dress.
Yeah.
There you go. You're
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think that's the hardest part too, because you feel for them when they're missing out on those opportunities, especially with the boys starting grade 9. That's the year where, like you said, lockers and hanging out
Mhm.
at lunchtime or during breaks, and it's just been such a different year with, you stay with your one class for the full week and then you transition into another class and you don't leave the classroom really. So
I'm
it's
sure
hard.
we all remember the first time we walked into the high school cafeteria, right? That's a huge moment. Like, where do I sit? Where do I go? Who do I hang with? And they know where they sit at the table at home because they dinner there every night. So it's there's a lot of it's unfortunate they're being gypped about, I think, a lot of things that are greatly important for them for their lives. So
Yeah. And I mean, on the flip side, you get to see how resilient kids really are. And I
Yes.
think that's what I've learned from especially my boys is, they came from a situation where, they had a struggle for the first while of their life. And this is just another bump in the road, and the way they've been able to handle that type of change, and it's a lesson for me for sure, because sometimes I find myself, why can't I do this? I want to do this. I'm so done with everything. And I think about it, and I as much as I can't wait for a time when things are going to be different, it is nice for them to kind of put me back in, do a bit of a reality check, just this isn't going to be forever. And they've been really able to show that they can handle this type of challenge. So
it's funny that you mentioned the bump in the road. Actually, I heard an author today make a comment so profound that I got up from my work computer to get the remote and rewind to hear it. And I listened to it 3 times. And the comment was, it's not the bumps in the road, it's the road that has bumps. And that's very true, because in life, I mean, there aren't all perfectly paved roads. So I thought that was really profound, and it really sort of speaks to the fact that again, it comes down to perspective, which you can try to teach kids. Whether they listen to it, learn from it or not is entirely up to them. We can only provide that to them. But yeah, it's good that they're resilient, because let's face it, they're going to need to be, and we've had to learn to be some way, shape, or form. And again, resilience is not, you can demonstrate it. Can you teach it? I'm not really sure, but that's awesome. So any tricks that you guys have come up with that makes it? Apparently you throw chocolates at Violet.
Oh man, yeah. Have that candy stash just kind of ready to bribe them at any time.
Yeah.
I actually, I know it seems so silly, but I have them make their lunch the night before, like they're going to school.
Nice.
And I was like, because
Nice.
the last thing I need is like teenage boys just like rummaging around in the kitchen, like every second they get, and then like so we have them make their lunch. I'm sure if they were watching this, they're like, yeah, my mom's a tyrant, like making me make my lunch when the fridge is right there.
It's right there, yeah.
I know. I'm sure they're just like rolling their eyes.
Yeah.
But it does help, and it kind of, especially with Violet too, and then it's one less thing on my plate, and one less thing to kind of take me away from whatever I'm doing at that time. So that certainly helps. Certainly helps with that. And I liked what Elizabeth said about just getting outside. I know with our boys, because they're online for most of the day, we kind of do like you got to get to 10,000 steps before you get those electronics back. So
Nice.
again, I'm really coming off as quite something. I'm sure. But I swear I'm not that mean, but it's good for them to be outside. Like you said, like they need that time away. And I think especially with teenagers, right? They spend their whole time in school on the computer, but they also, at night, they also need to spend that time, connecting with friends and doing that as well. So like there's a small window where you're like go for a walk or go for a bike ride or something like that. So it's not so much a trick related to virtual schooling, but definitely something that's good to focus on, getting outside.
Yeah. Elizabeth.
It's funny that you brought up that it's not bumps in the road, it's the road, and there happen to be bumps, because I think of that a lot. I didn't know that was a saying, but I'll use it now. So thank you.
Yeah.
Doug Robbins said once that
you're welcome.
but that's the way I really look at this. So like, I know when I'm having a day and I wake up and I'm already feeling like just like whatever, right? Like yesterday morning, I spent literally 3 hours driving from one side of Chatham to the other side over and over again, because I kept thinking, oh, well, before I do this thing, I'm going to do this thing. And then I'd get over there and say, oh, but I need to do that thing first. And then it was like ADHD meltdown over here. And I was like, wow, this is really what it's like being in my brain. That's a lot of gas. But so those mornings where you just wake up and you're like, I'm a bouncy ball today, right? And so I look at my kids and really try and like allow them that same grace, right? Like when I look and say, you know what, my kid, like on Friday, now I forgot that he only has afternoon classes Tuesdays and Thursdays. But on Friday, I sent an email to the afternoon teacher and I said, he's not going to be there. We need to go out and do something. Like he was really, I could just see that he was really like processing something, like he was just a spinny wheel on his computer when I looked into his eye. And right. And so I just said, come on, we're going to go do a thing. And we were out, and I mean, what was it? Nothing really, like, and we just kind of went for a walk, and I just listened, and I asked him about his video games, and I asked him about I don't know, whatever music he's listening to right now, which mostly I don't understand, but I'm trying. And we just had that time for that connection. And so the tip that I have for online schooling is like, the same tip I would give you if you were in person, which is allow your kids the same ability to need space that we give adults.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are going to be moments where they just can't do it because you've been there, right? Or
Yep.
at least I get there. I get there where I'm like, "Ooh, not right now, not today."
Yep. Not happening.
And so I just say, yeah, it's time for us to go and do a thing. I mean, maybe we go for a walk, maybe we go for a bike ride, maybe we go out to the school property and have a fire, whatever. But it just something needs to change so that we can get the perspective back and we can get the mindset back to do whatever it is.
Yeah. So, Elizabeth, I know that you have a very rich art background. There you are painting.
Oh, look at me.
Look at you
Look
go,
how many
girl.
glasses ago.
That's how we measure things, right? By glasses, right? So,
yeah.
there's a couple of images that I love of your artwork, and I don't know if you know. Actually, I have an art background. I was in art business for a lot of years, so I was sort of trolling your page, and I really like this one. Thought that was very cool. Love the colors.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I love this one as well. But as I said, poor little black boy from Dresden really loves this one.
Oh, right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very, very timely, very profound. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
like
it.
that
love
piece. It. Well, so here's just a funny thing with the cost of wood, because that piece is on a piece of panel that's 4 feet by 8 feet, like the actual whole piece. And I was like, should I post that this is for sale for like $10,000, and that if you don't like the art, that's okay because it's still wood.
That wood.
Don't worry about it. You can still use it for your project. But yeah, no, that I get like human rights are. I don't know. I know that I sound glib when I say things like human rights are essential. Why would you have to say that? Except that we do. And so it's really important to me that if I'm going to be creating art, that it have something to say that's more than just who I am, right?
Art is an expression.
Well,
right?
I want my art to make you or the viewer like think about your life and your world, either more critically or from a different vantage point, right? And so when I did that piece, it's got a huge eye on one side that's being held open, kind of like Clockwork Orange, and the iris and the pupil are I kind of painted them to look like a record, right? And because it was this broken record of yeah, we'll do better, but we're not. And yeah, we'll, equality is here and equality is coming and whatever. And yet our Black populations are being murdered daily by people in power. And so when George Floyd happened, when it was such a massive wake-up call, I think, for, and see, I sound trite there too. It's tough for me because I'm an ally. I understand that I'll never understand. That I'll never live the experiences that disgust me, that my friends and family have lived. But I can take the tiny platform I have to at least amplify their voices and their cries for help. And so that's what that piece was for me. It was I can't breathe. Like the idea that not only George Floyd couldn't breathe, but also how can we as humans pretend that treating other humans is okay? How can we keep breathing and pretending like it's fine? So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for thank you for that.
So one of the topics that, and I'm going off track a little bit as I famously do. When I started the channel, I wanted to talk about things that are important to me, really, and that sounds very, very self-centered. But I realized that I'm not different from a lot of other people. So when I talk about, wedding specialists that are out there in Chatham-Kent, or I talk about females that I think are influential or positive in Chatham-Kent, on my radar, of course, there's mental health, which is very important right now. And of course, ever since our march here in Chatham, which I opted to stay away from for reasons, the whole Black Lives Matters was important. But more importantly for me, growing up, all lives matter. So that's sort of where I really shine, and where I really we will have a talk about that on this channel about all lives matter, and we'll focus on whether it's Black lives or white lives, or anti-Asian hating or what have you, because at the end of the day, regardless of what color you are, you probably put your pants on the same way I do. I'm pretty sure you do. So that's going to be one of our conversations coming up. So I applaud your art. I think it's phenomenal. So on a lighter side, as we flip it over, homeschooling still, we're still talking about that. I've got one more question I want to ask, and this is my favorite question about homeschooling. And what is the strangest thing that either happened or you've seen during homeschooling? And I'm sure there probably could be a novel if we put the question out there for the public, for all the Facebook people out there. I'm sure there's a million different weird things that have happened. But have you guys experienced anything that's been unique, weird, or caused a giggle, or have you had to put the kids in detention? Like, and how does that work? Where is the principal's office? Show me the damn principal's office. The whole house. So Whitney, what about you?
Oh gosh. I think with Violet, well, first of all, most of my friends are teachers and have some of the most hilarious stories I have heard from kids, and funny things that they've done. I think for me, well, with Violet, back in the January lockdown, she decided to give the old bangs a good trim on the Google Meet. And as if that wasn't enough, she also decided to draw on her own eyebrows because she wanted to look more surprised.
That's a Jack McFarlane move. Yeah. That is a Will and Grace Jack McFarlane surprise eyebrow.
Yeah, so they took some nice Sharpie, and then she cut her bangs and then put the hair into her Chromebook and then closed the Chromebook.
Yeah, because osmosis.
Gotta hide it. Yeah. So, and I mean, if you've seen her, the poor girl, it's taken her 5 years just to grow some hair. So she really couldn't afford to lose that amount. But her first haircut was online, streaming for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And she was trying to do a makeup tutorial. So that was fun. Yeah. And then for the boys, I think the funniest thing I've seen them do, so they had online gym class for their first virtual course. And I looked out the window and I see one of the boys jogging in Crocs in the middle of winter out in the field. Mm-hmm. And so it's been pretty hilarious to just watch them do their own thing.
Yeah. Elizabeth, anything?
Every day is just
every day.
I personally, if I get an email from a teacher saying, hey, you haven't handed, Milo hasn't handed in X, I look at it, I'm like, oh God, oh. And so my instinct always is, if I get an email from your teacher saying you didn't hand it in, like you're grounded, like not until it's done, but for the rest of that day. So that means like everything you think, like electronics, so like phone, laptop, things that plug in.
Yeah.
And so
electronic
he's
things.
like,
yeah.
right. And so he goes, "Oh, can I still get a snack from the fridge?" And I'm like, "For real? Come on." And then I almost said no. Just because he was being so sassy.
Yeah,
I was like, "You're killing me, kid."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mom can be a smart ass too, you know.
Right? Like, don't
Right?
open that book.
Yeah.
I am also the school lunch person and also the principal. So you better shut that ass down.
Yeah.
Took that
Excellent.
page from Mr. Robbins.
There you go. So a question I've asked, I think every female guest from this phenomenal female series is this. If you could invite someone, dead or alive, for dinner, who would it be and what would you serve? I know it's a biggie, and it's one of my favorite questions. I happen to cook a lot. If anyone that follows me, I apologize for all of the food post and drink post too, because got a pair. So we'll start with Elizabeth.
Oh my gosh, dead or alive. So can I cheat a little bit?
Yes.
Do is
we're not gonna ask you to show your math.
Okay, then we're good. We're super good. You don't want
super good.
I would either invite like future self or past self, right? I'd either talk to like my 16-year-old self and be like, dude, here's some decisions you might want to rethink. Here's some names you might not want to be friends with, right? And future self would be kind of cool because I'd be like, please tell me that this ends ever and we make it through. Right? So I think that's what I would do. What would I serve? I'd probably just have like appetizers, like finger foods and grab, because I like that anyway, just like chit chat and munch.
Nice.
But yeah, future self or past self, and there I would give you the choice, Doug. To you, just whoever shows up shows up.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, you never know, right? See when the doorbell rings, who's there? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because I was thinking like, sorry, I'm just going to expand for another 30 seconds. I was thinking like, do I pick Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Do I think I want to talk to my grandmother? Blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm not up right now. I am not ready psychologically for the conversations with these smart people. I just want to have some appetizers and know I'm going to be okay. You know? Well,
you know, what I always say when the doorbell rings is, I'm not dressed to receive. So, you know, if it's yourself, you're okay. Whitney, how about you?
Oh man, I had such a hard time thinking about this question because, like Elizabeth was saying, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe my grandfather. I never met him. Both my grandfathers I never met, so I was thinking that. But then I have to go with Michelle Obama because I'm a big Michelle Obama fan, and I saw her speak in Hamilton. It would have been 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and I just love her, and I would hope that she might bring Barack Obama, maybe. Who knows? And their adorable dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I would probably, I'd probably serve some charcuterie because it's, you know, some fancy, I could make it up real nice. I'm not a great cook. I've seen your stuff on Facebook, Doug, and it's pretty impressive. So I would have to go something with a little more ease.
Well, I'll make you a deal. If you get Michelle Obama to come to the house, I'll come and do the food for you.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Because
it's on.
Michelle is the real deal. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are, I think, doing a phenomenal job. I mean, we all try to do the best we possibly can. That's all we can do. That's all we can strive for when you get up in the morning. When your feet hit the ground, you go, I'm just going to try and do the best I can. And, we negotiate throughout the day. Well, okay, so that wasn't that great, but, it's okay. We're still good. We're still good. But you guys are phenomenal. It's not easy, homeschooling kids. And I hate the phrase homeschooling, but, having kids at home online, you have your own thing you want to do. And, when I was a kid growing up in Dresden, the thing was when school was out, your mom would say, you have breakfast, you get the hell out of the house, go ride bikes or do whatever you want to do, jump in the creek, and don't come back until lunch, and then get out again and don't come back to supper. Well, traditionally that's when parents would, moms or dads or whoever, would clean the house or do prep. Now the rugrats are in the dining room because that's where their computers are, and that's where the Wi-Fi signal is really strong, and they suck that up good. And so you're navigating, so you're doing the best you possibly can. And I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job as moms, as surrogate teachers. So just keep on doing it and keep on smiling, and make sure there's wine in the wine fridge or whatever it is you need.
I really think that's so true. I think that it's just so hard because you wear so many hats. And I mean, everyone's wearing so many hats right now. Moms, dads, teachers, everybody's really just doing the best they can. And I think that's, like you said, you just wake up in the morning and you have the best intentions of doing whatever you can, and doing what you can for your family, but also doing what you can for yourself too. And I think that's, you can't give everything to everybody and not to yourself as well. So sometimes it's taking a step back and knowing when to ask for help, or knowing when to lean on somebody else when you can. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you. Go ahead. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, no,
I want to hear this.
That
This would be
perfect.
good. Yeah.
It was perfect. No, it was perfect. That's exactly it. Like fill your cup, take the bath, go for the walk by yourself, because you can't help anybody when every time they breathe, you think to yourself, why didn't I sell this child already? Right? when the resentment is so high because you haven't taken care of yourself. So you gotta check in with your therapist, which PS I did an hour and a half before this show. I do that weekly. You got it right, because I need somebody who's on my side, that I'm paying to be on my side. You know what I'm saying?
You need people in your
check
tribe.
In with your therapist. You gotta go for your walks, because and that's the other thing, right? Because it is too crazy right now, and or all the time. And I appreciate your words and your platform. This has been a gas, and Whitney, you're just lovely. I'm so glad we get
Thank
to.
you.
You're both lovely.
You're lovely.
So awesome. Well, thank you very much for tuning in today. And of course, these are always on our Facebook channel, which is Engagement, or you can find us on YouTube. So thank you very much for tuning in.